Today we're going to take your travel camera setup from this big old backpack full of heavy camera gear to this right here. A camera bag that you can pick up with one finger. Let's do it. The channel for any amount of time, you know that I've always been on the search for the perfect travel setup for camera gear and technology and all that stuff. It's really been a never-ending, eternal search. You make it one way, then you modify it a little bit, you make it another way, you modify it again. But I think I finally got it narrowed down to I really take what I actually need and what I actually use when I go on a trip. Now I can't believe that I used to take a big old backpack like this. This is the backpack I took with me back when I first started all this camera stuff, kind of got interested in cameras. And I thought that I needed to take everything under the sun. I mean, this is a 36-liter backpack that you can absolutely pack everything in here. In here I had like the A7R4 or the A7S3 or whatever it is. All kinds of lenses and peripherals and action cameras and drones. And I mean, I just had everything under the sun packed in that one backpack. And obviously have whittled it down to something much different than what it was back then. So the first thing we'll talk about is the backpack itself. The days of camera backpacks and me are pretty numbered. Unless I'm doing something really specific, I won't take a camera backpack. Like if I'm going on a photo shoot or I'm going to take a video or something where I need a few extra things and I need it secured. It's just a North Face backpack. It could be any brand. In fact, I'm thinking about getting another one just because of some of the design of this one doesn't work out too good for me. But no more camera backpacks. They're just way too big. They're too heavy. And to be honest with you, they look like camera backpacks and I don't like that. Now what I do is just use a normal backpack, a normal old backpack, and I get a camera cube that fit down in there. Now there is some downside to it. Like it's harder to get the camera in and out. It's not as quick if you had side access or something like that. But again, you want to use your backpack as a vessel from go to point A to point B. You generally want your camera out the whole time. So it's best just to get where you're going, take your camera out, put it on a strap or use like the little capture clips and put it on your shoulder mount and just keep it out the whole time. Don't put it in, don't put it up. If you put it up in your backpack, the chances of you getting it out or having it out when you actually need it are slim to none. Now, I have thought about replacing the camera cube and I'm thinking about, because this kind of rolls around in my bag, because I don't latch it shut, I don't zip it shut, I don't secure anything. I just kind of throw it down in the bottom of my bag. And it kind of rolls around a little bit. And sometimes it'll be like this in my bag and sometimes it'll tip over and stuff like that. And I really got to thinking about it, and I think what I want to do is just replace this with like a lunchbox, a padded lunchbox, insulated lunchbox. And that sounds kind of weird, but I can definitely throw the camera off in there and keep it fairly protected just in a lunchbox. And then when I'm not using it, it'll just collapse down and be out of the way. And maybe if you have an extra lens or something, I was thinking about, well, I'll just take a wool sock and cut it to fit and throw it in there. And then I'll have everything in there protected, decently protected and out of the way when I don't need it. We can talk about the camera for just a minute. My criteria for a travel camera is vastly changes. Like long are the days where I'm doing a photography thing or I'm doing a video thing. I'm really just going out with the family now and just enjoying life and want to take photos and videos along the way. So let's change the way that I look at things just a little bit. For me, the perfect travel camera is something relatively small, relatively lightweight, with the lenses included. But the most important thing is, if this gets banged up a little bit, if it gets scratched, if I drop it, even if it gets stolen, if something messes up, something gets cracked, it's not going to be that big of a deal. Like if something was to happen to this camera, I'd be bummed out about it. Obviously, it was a fairly large investment, but it's no A1 II. I'm not taking the A1 II on vacation because if I dropped it, I'd obviously be devastated. So for me, the perfect travel camera is something that you can just take with you, throw it in your backpack. If it gets a little dinged up, not the end of the world. Okay, now let's talk about lens selection just for a minute. I've gone through the ranges of lenses. I have so many different lenses, and to me, the perfect setup is a zoom lens. Now I have this 18-40 S lens from Lumix. It makes a real good one. The 20-60 is a pretty decent one too. It's a little bit big for my liking. This 18-40 seems to fit the bill pretty good. You could go the 20-70 to Sony, the 20-40 Tamron. I mean, there's a jillion lenses out there, but you want just a good, basic, all-around zoom lens, and you don't want it to be too big. I would sacrifice, f-stops for smallness, if that makes sense. So that's my philosophy. And then I like to take one decent prime lens. And the prime lens that I took on the recent vacation, this Mackie 35 2.0, I couldn't ask for anything better. I wish it was a little bit smaller. They do make like a Sigma that's like basically the same lens, but way smaller, but it's also $300 more. Cost effective, and hey, what happens if something happens to the lens? This lens made more sense to me. You can just pick out your favorite focal length when it comes to a prime lens and find the most economical solution to you. Some people might be a 50. For me, it's a 35. I will talk a little bit more about this S9 towards the end of the video, so I'll come back to it, but we're gonna move on for now. The next thing we're going to talk about is I honestly think that you need some kind of additional camera or supplemental camera. Now this can be a cell phone for sure. I don't like shooting with cell phones. Cell phones to me are like, there's a Smokey and the Bandit car out in front of the hotel. I want to take a selfie with it. That's what I use my cell phone for. Little weird shots like that. Or a guy got a margarita at the restaurant and it's on fire, and I have my phone out, take a few shots of him. Just being funny. That's what I like using a phone for. I don't like using the phone for like a dedicated photo or video camera. But after this camera, anything that I talk about can definitely be just your phone, and you'll get by with it just fast. It's just not for me. I just don't like shooting on them. But for me, my supplemental camera is a action camera, the Action 4, Action 5, a GoPro, something like that. I tend to like this one better than the Osmo Pocket 3 currently, because it's a little bit more rugged. If you get into some water situations, it's waterproof. There's a lot of things about this particular camera that I like over the Pocket 3, although the Pocket 3 would make a good supplemental camera. So it's just kind of whatever fits your needs, but I think that you should always have a supplemental camera with you. But what if you want something smaller and lighter, like you don't want to take this with you, like you're going out to dinner, you don't want to take this, you don't want to take this, and then you get a point shoot. My point and shoot of preference right now is the RX100 Mark VII. I've tried pretty much all of them, or you can just like a ZVE1, something like that. But a little small point and shoot like this camera, it's just so awesome. And this camera, it just punches way above its weight with that 200 millimeter reach. I just absolutely love it. But again, you could just say camera, phone, that's it. But for me, I like taking just a little bit more. But you put these two cameras together and you still have a pretty small setup. And this is something you can throw in your pocket. Nobody even has to know you have a camera on you. But that's what I like. That's what I like. Now you're always going to need an audio solution. A lot of people take little rigs like this. But to be honest with you, anymore, I just have this DJI Mic 2. I've gone on a trip after trip after trip and never used the microphone one time. I've taken this mic, I've taken the wireless mics, I've taken mics like this, shotgun mics. I've taken them all and never used them while I'm on vacation. So I use this now. I just took this last time. Of course, I didn't use it, but if it was there, it was there, and it can hook up to the Osmo Action 4, no problem. And if I wanted to record on my actual camera, I can just do it'll record to the receiver and I can use that audio later on. This tripod, took it too, just in case I want to do a time lapse from the hotel balcony. Guess what? Never took it out of my backpack. Never used it. That's the way it goes. But anyway, that's my travel setup for now. And I think I think I have it refined to where I actually take only what I need, and I enjoy using all this stuff. And it's just a lot better than taking this huge backpack full of junk that I never use. Now we can talk about the S9 just for a minute. Man, I tell you what, the more and more I use the S9, the more I'm impressed with it. There are some shortcomings of this camera. I'll talk about them in a video, but for the most part, I don't find any of those to be an issue. Except I really wish I had a viewfinder, I'm not gonna lie, because a lot of times I can't see well enough to see on the back of the screen. But does it really hinder me all the time? No, it doesn't. And this has become just a great little travel camera. And what I really like about it is, not only does it take great videos and photos, but the app thing on it is pretty awesome. You can turn on the Bluetooth on your camera and hook it up to your phone, and it'll transmit the photos and the video in MP4 Lite straight to your phone while you're shooting. So in theory, you can, boom, 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 take the shots. By the time you even pull out your phone, the files are transferred over to your phone and you can share them straight, into your photo library, no less. So, it is basically like shooting. This is basically, when you get it connected, it's like shooting with your phone. That's how quick and easy it is. And that's one of the drawbacks that I found over using other type of cameras, is getting the photos off your camera. Like, you can't get them off fast enough. You can't get them off, you have to take them out and put them in the reader and download them and all this stuff. Like, it's just not fast enough sometimes to get the photos where you want them to go. This thing just boom automatically. It's like shooting with your phone, literally. And of course that runs your battery down, just FYI, a lot faster. But it's such a pleasure to shoot with. And this 35 2.0 from Macke, man, I wasn't expecting what I got out of this lens. I was shooting with this, I was shooting with this 18-40 a lot and messing around with it. I was just at Silver Dollar City and took off that zoom lens and put on a 35 f2 and just started shooting away with it, and it never left my camera the rest of the trip. It's so awesome. It's sharp, and the colors on this camera are awesome. Like, you can put 39 LUTs in there. I never use any of those LUTs. I just can't get them to look right for myself. They just look weird. Like, you see some of those LUTs or presets or whatever, and they look great when you're looking at them. And then when you're taking photos with them, something just doesn't look right. It just doesn't transfer over to me in the real world right. So I don't even mess with that. I just use standard picture profile and up the saturation and making little changes on the highlights and shadows a little bit. Right out of the camera, standard. No LUTs, no presets, no anything. It just shoots exactly what I want. It's so awesome. It's such an awesome little camera. To be honest with you now, I know a new Fuji came out. I know a new Fuji came out, and everybody's, probably hot on it. And that camera's like $1,700. If I was thinking about buying that camera, I would definitely be looking towards this little bad boy. You can get this thing for like $1,200 with a lens. With a lens. Now, it doesn't have a shutter, and it doesn't have all the buttons and dials and all that jazz that I know a Fuji has. And it doesn't look as cool as a Fuji, but man, the performance is there, and that's what's awesome about this little camera. So if you're thinking about looking at Fuji, highly recommend checking out the S9 just to make sure. And you can actually find these, on the shelf, which is a huge deal, which is why I don't mess with Fuji anymore, because when they come out with the camera, you can't get one. And I'm not waiting, 6 months to a year to get a Fuji camera that the autofocus stinks, and there's a lot of problems with Fuji cameras. This one, the autofocus could be a little bit better in some situations. It's just not as refined. The autofocus is just not as refined as maybe Sony is. But if you're just snapping pictures of your, you know, your kids, and you're just going, you know, shooting this and shooting that, it does fine. It does fine. It's just not as refined as Sony. Maybe just a step behind, but pretty much pretty good. But anyway, I hope this video has helped you narrow down some of your travel camera woes. It can be so overwhelming when you first, you know, start off in this. You just want to take everything under the sun because you're like, oh, what if I need this? What if I need that? Blah, blah, blah. And you're just packing this huge camera bag. Next thing you know, it weighs 200 pounds and you don't want to take any of it anywhere. And you just wind up with your phone. Narrow it down to the bare minimum. I mean, small camera, light lenses, maybe an action camera. That's pretty much it. Hope this video has helped you. If it has, make sure you drop a like. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next one.